In the scam home warranty business, the people are represented by two separate but equally lazy groups: the authorization agents who deny claims and smoke like chimneys, and the technicians who lie through their teeth to snag a few extra bucks. These are their stories. This video's topic was determined by a scam home warranty subreddit user subscriber poll, and it is the top 5 scam home warranty HVAC stories, part 1. Story number 1. The picture that said 1,000 words, but only one denial. Once it became apparent that we would demand pictures on almost every air conditioner claim, things changed. Some techs stopped working with us. Some conveniently had technical difficulties that prevented them from sending in pictures. Those were fun calls because we'd kill the claim unless the customer provided pictures, which they almost never did. But some techs got smart. There would be calls where the tech would send in the picture and be extremely aggressive in an odd way. They'd say things like, "I don't see a fleck of rust on the coil there, son. That coil is as clean as the day she was put in there. No way that coil could be leaking. Just look at it. Go right ahead and circle where you see any rust or corrosion on the coil. I'll send that picture over to the office manager. We'll stick around at the customer's house until we get this sorted out." Not all techs got like this, but some were so consistent with this activity that we notated their account. As luck, divine providence, or human stupidity would have it, one of the techs who had a string of perfectly clean coils made a mistake, and that was the end of him. Here's how that story went. The call came in from Arizona. I recognized the number and sighed audibly before hitting the button to bring the tech into my ear. Before I could give my intro, however, I overheard something. The tech was on the other line. "I already sent in the picture. They're going to cover this one, or I'll refund you." And then there was an abrupt silence. "Hello?" I answered. "Scam home warranty, the Mad King and Queen here. Got a claim for me today?" The tech continued. "Yes, it's claim number." I asked if he was at the house right now, and he said, "Yes, I already sent in the picture. Let me give you the model and serial, and the rest of the 14 questions we ask on every AC claim while I'm waiting on it to come over." I put in the information into the diagnosis box like normal, and I kept an eye on the Google phone waiting for any new pictures. The tech sent in the picture. It just wasn't the one he meant to. Somehow, some way, he screwed it up. Normally, I wouldn't even notice the difference, but that chunk of conversation I had overheard let me know something was going on with the claim. The picture was of an evaporator coil that was absolutely filthy. The caption wasn't the claim number like normal, however. Instead, it read, "They're going to deny the claim lack of maintenance if I send them this picture. The coil clean is going to cost you $250, but it will get the claim covered." What followed was a new picture of an entirely different set of coils that looked very nice and clean with the claim number attached like normal. The tech sputtered on the line, "Hey, I think I might have sent you the wrong picture. Go ahead and delete the one without the claim number. That's another customer for American Home Shield." I responded, "Okay." Then I let the silence hang in the air while I typed furiously, and of course used the snipping tool to capture both pictures into a separate file that I attached to the claim, flagged my own boss, the head of vendor relations, and my boss's boss on the claim at the bottom. The technician continued, "So I'm going to need 3 pounds of R22 and a capacitor, I think, and we'll be good for the day." I responded quickly, "Not a problem, but it looks like we're going to be reaching out to the customer on this one. Go ahead and grab your service call fee now. It might take a while, and I don't want to waste yours or their time." The technician hung up the phone immediately. The epilogue to the claim is that the tech was not removed from the system, but we did do something to the billing and took away his preferred vendor status. If you're curious about what was going on, he was double dipping by charging customers for a coil clean and then submitting the clean picture to Scam Home Warranty for some Freon in his capacitor. He was smart enough to only do it with realty policy, since we weren't allowed to demand a leak search on a realty policy, and company policy demanded we cover 3 pounds anyway, even though the Environmental Protection Agency would freak out if they knew that was the thing we did all the time without a leak search. That was a dirty tech taking advantage of the system. We would never think to demand a picture of the nameplate on top of the coils. We were lucky to get a good picture in the first place. I have no idea how many claims he ripped us off on, but that picture in the caption was the straw that broke the camel's back. Story number 2. the half-finished heat pump, and the most decadent thing you've ever seen in your life. It's around lunchtime in the middle of the winter, and the claims are coming in as slowly as the heating in the building. I'd polished off the remains of my breakfast, a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich from Quick Check that was probably older than a few hours when I grabbed it that morning, and went on my lunch. I was outside enjoying a Newport when one of my coworkers offered me a trade of 2 cigarettes for his unopened Starburst he had got from the vending machine. I hastily handed them over and tore open the wrapper to reveal a traumatizing sight. There was not a single pink candy in the entire thing. My mind spun with an idea, and I returned to my phone and opened the Amazon app. Fast forward 5 to 8 business days. I walk into the office a half hour like normal and arrange my items on my desk. I pull out a paper bowl and a new bag of snacks, but before I can execute my master plan, I see my phone is lit up. Now, the queue isn't even open that early in the day, but of course the phones still work, so it meant somebody had called into my line specifically. I grabbed my headset and put the early call in my ear while logging into the workstation. The technician asked, "Is this the Mad King and Queen?" I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" He said, "Hey, do you remember that call last night out in Baltimore?" I said, "Kind of. Didn't I give you off for that already?" He said, "Yes, you did. That's why I'm calling." I asked him for the claim number so I could catch up on my end, and he gave it to me. I opened up the claim and I said, "Oh, this customer called in twice after hours last night already." Tech said, "Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Look, I got over to my supplier and they don't have that condensing fan motor in stock. They said it could take a couple days, and I was wondering if your supplier can get it faster." I asked him which supply house he used, and he said Lennox. I told him to give me a moment and confirmed with him that the part number on the diagnosis was the correct one. I put the technician on hold and I checked out our supplier to see if they had it in stock. They did. I put the tech back on my line. "Okay, they can get it to your office in 2 days if I pull the trigger right now." Technician said, "Please do, and can you tell the customer, please, so they stop calling me?" I said, "Yeah, sure, but I gotta pull your off to make this happen." Technician said, "Yeah, not a problem. I just need an hour and a half labor and we'll call it even." I said, "Okay, I have a new auth for you just for that labor." The technician asked if I could email it to him, along with any tracking of that part once I ordered it. I said, "Sure, not a problem. I'll get that done immediately." The technician thanked me and hung up. I opened up our supplier's webpage, added the order to our master Excel sheet, flagged our parts guy that this is a priority shipment, and tasked customer service to call the customer with the good news. I looked at the clock and I saw I had a few minutes before the queue opened for the day, so I ran out to the bathroom what time I had left. When I returned, the office was much less dead than a few minutes earlier, and there was a guy sitting at the desk down from me who looked over as I approached my chair. Pointing at my desk, he said, "Hey, what's that?" I said, "Oh, just some Starbursts I got." And he said, "Can I have a couple?" And I said, "Depends. What flavor do you want?" He said, "Pink or red, they're my favorite." I told him, "Well, you're in luck." I ripped open the bag and revealed 300 pink Starbursts, pouring a handful into my cup immediately. The guy asked me, "How did you even get those?" I explained that on Amazon there was a guy selling these and red Skittles and a couple of other boutique snack items arranged by color or flavor. Not even that crazy. This bag was only like $30. And so it was that just about everyone in Off that day enjoyed Starburst in the most decadent way humanly possible, without interruption or interference by the lesser flavors. That bag of Starburst lasted 2 weeks, and it spread like wildfire throughout the office that I had the hookup on just the pink ones. You'd be surprised how many people were happy just to see the pink flavor like that. That blog is that you might think I got tired of just the pink ones after a while. And you are wrong. They are still my favorite, and I wish I had a bag like that right now. My mouth is watering just thinking about those pink bad boys. They are delicious. Story number 3. You know what? I ain't even mad. An auth guy who spent $500 that morning. It's the middle of August, and it's been over 100 degrees in Dallas for the last couple days in a row. Our hold time is around a half hour, and emails are piling up. A call comes in from Texas, and I put the technician in my ear. "Scam Home Warranty got an AC claim for me today?" "Yeah, it's claim number." I asked if he was at the house. The tech confirmed that he was. I asked for the model and serial for the unit, and the technician responded with them and continued on to answer all 14 questions that we ask on every AC claim. I finished up the diagnosis, and I said, "What do you need for this repair?" And he said he needed a new blower motor to be installed. I asked if he had pictures of the old one, and he did, sending them into the Google phone once I provided the number. While he was sending over the picture, I asked for the part number and he gave it to me, saying, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure my guy carries it, but I'm going to pull the motor anyway and bring it to the shop just in case. This guy seems like the kind of customer that's going to blow up my phone all day if I don't get this fixed today." I said, "Okay, those pictures look good. The unit's not filthy or anything. I can get that part for $400 from our guy." Technician said, "Yeah, I can match that, but I need 2 hours of labor." I noted that he was $50 an hour and asked if there was a service call fee on the unit. And he said, no, it was a zero collect. I'd need the full amount of labor. So I queued up $500 worth of authorization and asked him if he was ready for the number. He was, and he asked that I text the auth number to the number that he had sent the pictures from. I did so, and he got the ding letting me know that the auth number was received and said, "Okay, I'm off on my way. You have a good one." Later in the day, I was finishing up another Texas technician who had multiple claims to call in later in the afternoon, some of which he needed auth for, others he needed reassigned because he couldn't get to them in time, when I got a message from another guy in auth letting me know that they needed to transfer a tech I had spoken to that morning. I assumed the tech calling in wanted more auth, so I put the existing tech on hold and put the new tech in my ear on line 2. Technician answered immediately, "Okay, I have a claim number here. Can you help me out?" I said yes. He gave me the claim number. I picked it up. "Hey, I gave you auth this morning. Are there new failures on a unit or something?" The technician replied, "Kind of the opposite, really. I got to my supply house with the motor, and the guy at the counter figured out just the module needed to be fixed. Didn't even need a new one. He got it working in half an hour. I waited until I got back to the customer's house and installed it before calling in just in case it didn't work. But that machine is up and running, good as new." I said, "Oh, that's great news. What did it cost you?" He said it was $100 at the supply house to get it fixed, and he just needed 2 hours of labor. I said, "All right, so you need auth for 200 even then today?" And he said, "Correct." So I pulled his old auth number and gave him a new auth for 200 and texted it to his existing number on file from earlier. The tech replied, "Excellent. I'm just as happy that this worked out as you are. I don't want my average auth to be too high, right?" I said, "You know what? I got a tech on hold right now who wants 2 of his claims reassigned over in Dallas. Do you want those?" Tech said, "Yes, of course I do." I said, "All right, check your email for those 2 new service work orders. You have a good one." Tech said, "Hey, you too, man." The epilogue is that tech saved me from the highest auth I had all day, and I was happy to send them more work as a result. I'm sure the customer was just as happy to have their AC working again. Texas is pretty hot in August, apparently. Story number 4. The 6-cheese blend and the wonky thermostat. The roads are icy and empty as I drove into work on a Sunday morning in early March. The inbox had a few dozen claims that came in overnight, but by the time the queue opened up, most of those were handled. I'm watching a YouTube video about Cookie Clicker, which had just come out and was blowing up on Reddit, when my coworker messages me saying he wants pizza for lunch and reminded me I owed him for a condensing fan motor a few days back he'd paid for. He recommended Papa John's for pizza, and I was excited as I hadn't had it in a while. Not because it's an especially bad place to eat at or anything, but they just don't deliver to my town. I ordered the Wisconsin 6-cheese pizza and a medium meat lovers for my coworker, and it arrived in record time. I'd forgotten about the pepper they included with every pizza and threw it into the trash, where it simmered throughout the day, making me regret using the one closest to me and not the huge trash can in the break room. Using a fork and knife to navigate the avalanche of cheese that is falling off a slice on my plate in front of me, my phone rang and I put a technician in my ear. I answered, "Scam Hallmore, it's you the Mad King and Queen here. Got a claim for me today." Tech said, "Yeah, it's claim number. I'm not at the house anymore. This was from Friday." I pull up the claim and see it's a realty customer with retention notes already tasked off. I realize exactly why it's been sitting there all weekend untouched. I sighed. Just fantastic. Technician sighed as well. "Tell me about it. So you guys are really covering this whole thing?" I responded, "Yeah, retention are pulling a fast one and making auth foot the bill on this nonsense." Tech said, "Nobody tells me anything. I'm just a tech, but you got auth for me?" I said, "Yeah, I do." The tech said he was ready when I was. I said, "Here is your auth number for $500 for that new thermostat." Tech said, "Okay, I can get over to the supply house right now, be at the customer's house by 4 or so in the afternoon. Is that all right with you guys?" I said, "I really don't care. We don't force weekend work, but if the customer demands you do it today, I can't stop them." The tech explained they've been blowing up my boss's phone, so yeah, we're getting it done today. I responded, there's so many notes on here back and forth with the customer threatening to cancel, but none whatsoever on the thermostat itself. Do you have a part number on it by chance? I'm just curious. And Tech said, it's one of those Nest Learning thermostats. I don't know the part number, but it's the one that has the motion tracker inside that knows when you're looking at it so it can turn it on when you enter a room. It texts you in the morning to let you know if it's going to turn up or down, if it's cold outside or something. I said, I will never understand why somebody would install something that expensive when a normal thermostat works just fine. Tech said, yeah, I feel you, man, but I'm going to get out of here. I said, all right, and I hung up the phone. Epilogue is I have no idea why that auth had to come from us instead of retention. There were 3 different exclusions we could have applied to that claim, but when you see a flag on it from retention tasked to auth, and you're the one who gets that phone call, there's not much you can do aside from leave a note saying that you were forced to do so in case anybody looks. Story number 5. The tech who spent 20 minutes feeding me just to make the very next call taste 1,000 times sweeter. Call came in from Arizona during the early summer, and I'm pretty sure you already know what kind of claim it's going to be. I picked up the phone. Afternoon, Scam Home Warranty, the Mad King and Queen here. Got a claim number for me to work with? Technician responded, yes, it's claim number. I opened it up. Okay, that's an AC claim, of course. Are you at the house right now? Tech said, yeah, I was actually about to leave when you picked up. I asked for the model, serial, and the other 14 questions we ask on every AC unit diagnosis. Technician answered all the questions and told me this is going to need a capacitor. I said, well, I don't see a price guide on your account. Are you a new tech with us? He said, first call of many, I'm sure. Y'all got a lot of work here in Arizona, or at least that's what dispatch told me when they signed me up this morning. I asked him, okay, then what's the damage on this? And he said it'd be 150 parts and then $50 labor, and they didn't have a service call fee pickup. I responded, confused why he needed auth for $200 for a capacitor, and pointed out that it was $100 more than most of our techs would get the job done for. He said, do you ever wonder why so many capacitors here in Arizona blow so often? I said, no, I hadn't noticed the difference in all my time here. He asked when the power lines got put in, if I knew when they were installed and so forth. I said, they didn't cover that in my history classes, unfortunately. The tech went on a long story for about 20 minutes explaining the history of infrastructure in Arizona and electricity in the South in general. By the end, he said, so, when the lines sag, they pull more juice and blow capacitors more quickly. I buy mine from Japan, not China, so mine don't blow every summer when the lines start slacking and everybody else's start blowing. I was just tired and trying to get him off the line anyway. Here's your auth number for $200. Have a nice day. Hanging up the phone once he confirmed he'd written it down. My very next call came from Texas, but it's from a tech I was very familiar with already. The technician gave me the claim number, letting me know he was at the customer's house still. Once I'd put it in and brought up the claim, I said, hey, can you give me a second here? And he said, sure, what's going on? I told him, hey, some tech just spun me a long tale about he buys super expensive capacitors that don't blow or something because it's something about the electrical infrastructure in the South being really bad and failing every summer. Technician laughed. That's a tall tale if I've ever heard one. Most wires are underground nowadays. I've been doing this 20 years. Never heard of anything fancier than a normal capacitor. I think you've been taken for a ride. I responded, yeah, that makes sense. The tech said, I ain't got no fancy capacitors, but I got a leaking evap coil I sent you a few pictures of a couple minutes back. I said, oh, and I've got a denial for rust I'll be typing out while you fill in the gaps on the diagnosis. Technician said, great, let's do this thing. And in a few minutes, me and him had written up a denial for those evap coils, told the customer the bad news, and sent him on his way. The epilogue of the claim is that I put a note on the vendor profile to get a price guide set up on that technician, but never followed up. I never got another claim from that tech, but I'd like to point out I don't like being lied to by people on the phone like that. And thank you once again for joining us for another video from Scam Home Warranty, the top 5 stories from HVAC. I'd like to give a special thank you to our Patreon, D_B, for being with us from day 1, our Tier 3 sub. To all of our subscribers on Reddit, all 1,300 of you, it's been great. You guys are really amazing. All those comments you leave, the questions, the awards, all that stuff means a lot to me. I'd like to point out, of course, that in addition to liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell on this video, you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Discord, or even become another member of our Patreon. So thank you once again for joining us, and I hope to see you all in the next video.